What would you do if you were in a situation where you wanted to end your life? If knowing what you know now, let's say 10 years ago when you were a younger soldier, what would be the best thing for a person to do in that situation?
Grab this fancy hi-fi thing, high speed thing you have in your pocket, and start calling. That's it. When I've been riddled with anxiety or suicidal ideations, when it's bad, right? Bad being a subjective term, but when it's overwhelming, when it's taking control of my thoughts, that's you get on the call. You get on the phone and call. And if you don't have 10 people to call, start coming up with a list. Yeah. And don't just come up with a list of names, but get 10 people in your life that you know have your back. So that's when you're in the moment. The other things you need to do is you have to sit back. You have to take some time to reflect. What are healthy and unhealthy behaviors? What are you doing to contribute to it, right? The challenge I have is in the military, we take suicide prevention at least once a year, probably closer to 3 or 4 times a year. And it's like you hear the words, but because you've heard them and you've seen them on the PowerPoint so often, it loses its meaning. Yeah. But I did see a suicide prevention I was part of a suicide prevention training recently, and they used the acronym HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. When they look at people that commit suicide, they normally have one, if not multiple, of those things going. Like 99% of the cases. Yeah. And there's a reason why, there's certain days of the year, right? Like suicides are always up the day after or the week of daylight savings time when we spring forward, because people are tired. So suicides are up that week for that reason and that reason alone, right? They're also up around the holidays, right? Lonely, right? So when you go into, and I know this firsthand, I took one of my soldiers a month or two after we got back from Gitmo, about a month, I think, after we got back from Gitmo. I had a soldier that got drinking. We had a wife, 2 babies at home. He had his 45, wasn't a good place. She called me. I drove like 45 minutes out to his house. I already called the cops. Cops were there when I got there. Right, I followed the ACE card, right? Ask, care, escort. Right, I followed the card. And I ended up escorting him to county mental behavioral health facility. And the first thing they do, they feed you and they put you to bed. Next morning, they feed you again, tell you to rest. Feed you lunch. They don't talk to you until you're there for 24 hours and you've got 3 meals in you. And you have ample time to rest. Because when you're hungry and you're tired, you're not thinking logically. And so again, it sounds so simple, but you got to look at your body and your, right? Are you doing those things? If you're tired, what is the contributing factors? Now, if you're dealing with big demons, PTSD, whatever, depression that's keeping you up at night, you gotta work through that. Yeah. So start there. If you're lonely, start calling people. Be okay with a little rejection, but you call enough people, people will not hang you out. Yep. Right? And you're angry, what are you angry about? Right? And when you're hungry, it's not just, right, it's obviously physical hunger, but make sure you take care of yourself. Feed the need. If you need physical activity, do that. If you need nutrition, eat right. And I've been there. I've been there where I was surviving on, I read about this in my book. I was eating cottage cheese sandwiches, cream of wheat, and Spite. Right? That's what I was living on. Yeah. And going to the bar every night drinking. And when you drink all night at the bar, the last thing you want to do is eat, the next day you just want to eat crap, right? And then drink some more. And I was getting, breakfast at 2 o'clock in the morning every night. And that's when I was at my worst. Yeah. So you got to take care of you. That's it. I mean, that's the best thing. That's the best advice I can give. And hell, find me on LinkedIn, find my number, and call me. I've had random veterans hit me up on Facebook Messenger at 3 o'clock in the morning, like, "Hey, bro, you there?" Yeah. And there's tons of veterans group out there. Someone will pick up the phone. Yeah. Now, once you get through that kill zone, you got to take care of yourself. Yep. And that can look like a lot of things: physical activity, counseling, peer groups, friends and family. If you think you can do it alone, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yep. Anything worth doing is worth doing together.
100%. Right? Like, I know I can call you. I know I can call Fabio or Marco behind the camera.
Yep.
Right? If I say make a list of 10, I have 100 people I can call right now.
Yep. But you've also put yourself
correct,
in that
correct.
position.
At one point, I didn't have a single person to call.
Right. You've built that.
Right? I actually said I've always been able to call my mom.
Yep.
Right? I've always been able to call my mom.
Yep.
And so it's like I had one. Well, who was two? Who was three? Who was four? Who was five?
Yep.
And whether it's, business partner now or random veterans I've met, I know I have people I can call. And that's the starting point. But you got to put yourself out there. So advice for all veterans, don't be hard. If you want to be successful in this world, you got to be empathetic. And empathy starts with recognizing who you are and where you're at and giving yourself a little bit of grace to be successful.
Yep.
Like, be empathetic about yourself and your situation, but then do something about it.
Yep.
Don't be a victim, because that's the next line.
Yep.
When you're blaming everybody else.
Yep.